How are you?
Welcome here. The time now, it is 9:09. We will be starting with the special council meeting on the 9th of December 2022. Just make sure that the attendance register is circulating. The attendance register is circulating. Please make sure everybody signs.
Come guys, come closer, come closer.
Before we continue, can we have a silent prayer, please, on this morning's procedure, as with all other procedures? We will be starting now. Thank you. Thank you very much. Councillor Tlabai.
Oh, Councillor Mangaba is on his way. He's coming.
Send it.
Well, note as such. Thank you, Councillor Tlabai. We will move to point 4. The declaration of interest. Any declarations, councillors? Take it none. Point 5. The confirmation minutes of previous meetings. Tanya, can you just assist there, please?
Dealing with the minutes of the ordinary council meeting of the 1st of August 2022. The 1st of October 2022, starting at page 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Last page, 30, attendance ranges 31, 32, and 33. That concludes the minutes.
Thank you, Tana. Councillor Adamson, see your hand is up.
Not working.
Speaker, on page 13, it says recess from Friday, the 14th of December. The 14th of December is a Wednesday. Just for noting.
Correction there, Friday, for it should read Wednesday, 14 December. Thanks, Councillor. Is that all? Thank you, Councillor. Take it, then the rest is the true reflection. Councillor Nel?
Speaker, with the correction taken into consideration, I propose that we accept the minutes as read and let it correct.
Proposed by Councillor Nel. Councillor Olivier?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Olivier. That for the minutes on point 5. Point 6, statements and communication by the Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, this is the last council meeting for 2022, and we've come to the end of a busy year with much change in the municipality. It's not been an easy ride. We not only strapped, but also currently have no investments to speak of. These have been depleted over the previous years. This has meant that service delivery is restricted, as many service delivery-oriented capital projects that we wanted to carry out cannot happen until we can improve our financial situation, and this might take some time. Our predicament is such that for the first time in many years, this municipality is in a position where it will have to, in the near future, be necessary to ask council to approve a financial loan so as to carry out some of our capital projects. I want to remind our customers that the amnesty offered to assist bring municipal accounts up to date expires on the 31st of December this year. Should you have any outstanding municipal accounts, please come to our offices so that we can make an arrangement to bring your account up to date. This will assist to improve the municipality's financial situation as well. This time of the year is often referred to as season. It's important for our town, as this time of the year, that thousands of holiday makers from across South Africa flock to Plettenberg Bay for their annual holidays. With them, they bring a lot of spending power that boosts our businesses and communities, and that enables the creation of extra work, opportunities, and also to put much needed food on the table. This period kicks off with the annual week-long Plet Rage that injects over 30 million rand directly into our economy. To many, they're only seen as a lot of drunken kids. This, however, is far from the truth, as evidenced to anyone that actually visits one of the rage venues. Yes, there is a drunken element, but for the majority, they intend to have fun, celebrating the end of their school career, the beginning of their adult life. This event, other than matric students, also brings hundreds of support staff from businesses supporting and supplying the Rage Festival. The parents of many of these students also accompany them and stay in Plet for the week, also contributing to our economy. But that's not all. These students are also the future holiday makers of Plet. They visit us again when they're in university, with their partners while they're courting, as married couples and also as families. Some of them will become future homeowners in Plet. So while they're a nuisance to some, to many, they're a form of livelihood, and we need to make the experience a pleasant one. This, however, does not mean that they have an unaccounted run of the town. The rules and laws do still have to be adhered to. Here we as Bitou Municipality and Bitou as a whole need to thank the various stakeholders that annually make this festival the success of it is. This includes the South African Police Services, Bitou Law Enforcement, and security companies under the auspices of the Plettenberg Bay Crime Prevention Association, neighborhood watchers, and many others who offer their time free of charge to ensure that this event is a success. The dedication of these people also extends to the rest of season to make the general holidaymaker stay a pleasant one. One also read a WhatsApp message that I saw on one of our airport road groups this morning, and it sums up from a townsperson what I've just said here. So the WhatsApp reads as follows. It says, tonight is the last night, and after this week of inconvenience, the pie shop lady can pay her rent. The pharmacist can afford to pay his staff a bonus this year. The taxi drivers can afford school uniform and fees for the next year, and the taxi owner can afford to pay for new tires and a service. The little restaurant hanging on by their fingernails will be able to stay open through another winter. The guest house owner can replace the worn-out sheet, buying hopefully from the privately owned linen supplier. The garage owner can afford to keep all his staff on for the rest of the year. That little bakery down the road can breathe after a harsh winter. Waitress up her third job so she can spend time with her kids. Rage is not everyone's cup of tea, but it sure helps the town financially. That season lasts 2 weeks instead of the 6 weeks in the 80s and early 90s. So that pretty much sums up what I went through earlier. As councillors going on recess and some of our municipal staff go on leave, we need to consider those that stay behind to ensure services continue over this period, and I thank them for their time. This includes the stakeholders that I mentioned earlier, as well as Bitou Emergency Services and the Bitou Fire Department. Thank you to all the staff of Bitou Municipality for their dedication and hard work over the past year, and we look forward to their help in moving Bitou Municipality forward next year. May you and your families be safe during the festive season. We also welcome all our holiday makers and thank you for choosing Plettenberg Bay to holiday in. Please be safe and enjoy your time in our area. Stay within the rules, listen to any advice and instructions from those in authority, be patient in traffic and busy areas, and help us save water by being considerate with water usage. On the 16th of December, we'll also have our annual switching on of our festive streetlights in Main Street, and this will include a parade of volunteers, Bitou Municipality, as well as polo participants. The switching on of the lights will happen when it's dark enough, which will be around 8 p.m. Then one of the items in our agenda is a notice advising of a delay in the Auditor General's report. And this was done because there was things that they still needed to verify. I can advise that we have received a confirmed report this morning. And thanks to the efforts of the municipal manager, the acting chief financial officer, and much of our staff, we have maintained our unqualified audit with findings. Some of these findings are repeat findings, as we have had before, and it's going to be up to us now in the new year to address all these findings to ensure that we get a better Auditor General report in the next years to come. So thank you very much to everyone for the efforts, helping us to at least retain unqualified audit that we achieved last year. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah. Executive Mayor. We'll continue to point 7, no presentations. Point 8, items for information, which has been dealt with by the Executive Mayor in terms of delegated authority. There's nothing.
The Section 71 report was dealt with in November.
Thanks. Noting of outstanding and partially implemented council resolutions. There's none. Consideration of reports, non-delegated matters on point 10. Takes us to the portfolio of index. First item under the office of the municipal manager. It is item C, /1/108/2022 22, schedule of meetings for Municipal Public Accounts Committee for 2023. You would find the item on page 38 to 41. Item is now serving. Councillor Olivier,
The recommendation.
proposed by Councillor Olivier. Councillor Nel,
I'll second the speaker.
seconded by Councillor Nel. Next item. Item C, stroke 1, stroke 109, stroke 12, stroke 22. The MPEC Chairperson's report for November 2022. You would find the item on page 42 to 48. Item is now serving. Councillor Koloapi.
Special greetings to our honorable speaker, to our executive mayor, our executive deputy mayor, to our council whip, and to our administrative manager and the managers that are in, to our all staff that is always giving us support, and also to our ratepayers observers, the gallery, and my team of MPEC committee, all the councillors. I especially greet you all as I'm going to present my last report. I understand that it was also included in your agenda, but I would love to present just some few things to bring on. As we can see, the establishment of the committee as it states, so according that we need to observe it, we need to have an MPEC committee as according to the legislature quoted from the Municipal Structures Act and quoted from the Municipal Financial Management Act. As we can see that from the first time we set, we brought the terms of reference. It was our first meeting. When we elected, it was I, Councillor Kolwapi, Councillor Ndai, and Councillor Botha, who's no longer here, who was replaced by Councillor. So in our first meeting, we placed our terms of reference that were taken here, and we started to have our meetings. As you can see that we've displayed our meetings speaker. We had something like 10 meetings in a year. I do agree, we suppose according to the legislation, we're supposed to have at least 4 minimum. Then because we had some backlog that we had to address too, we ended up having some 4 special meetings that we even had. That made us to have these 10 meetings. As you can see also there, that we've forwarded for you to see, for perusing, and we can see the functions of the MPEC according to legislature, that what are we here for? And we can also attest that we're here for oversight mainly. And I can understand that most of the people, we are still fumbling to know what is the role of MPEC, by the way. If you can see, there were some concerns that we worked on, especially from the AG side, because we started to get in when we had to unpack the report from the AG and the internal audit side. So you can see there that when we came in, the status of Bitou was unqualified with findings. So part of those findings, it was more of the fact that the incidents were recurring year after year. So I would love to emphasize in this council, Mr. Mayor, that that is the concern of the Auditor General, that we don't take all the findings very serious. It's a recurring thing year after year. Its audit outcomes remain unchanged due to the non-compliance with legislation. That is not a nice report, and we are here to appeal as this MPEC committee that we need to emphasize to the senior managers, especially the administration side, that we need to take cognizance of the report. It says things were regressing at SAM due to the material non-compliance, up to the extent that Bitou was extended its brief when it comes to material irregularities. It means this institution lacks to give a proof of the material when they do a business or whatever transaction. That is also one thing that we need to look at with the presence of Mr. Felix and Mr. Notary. We believe that those things will be more working on it, especially the Department of Community Services, the presence of you, Ms. Paulson. We believe that those things, we expect them at least to change. It says the internal controls and its drivers to monitor compliance remain a concern. Internal controls and its drivers, meaning that still it goes back to administration. And the consequence management, performance management, and expenditure management, all those things, Auditor General got a very, how can I say, concern over it with our municipality. So it also goes the lack of obtaining reports as well as declaration were much of it. Whilst they were not affecting the awarding system, some declarations were affecting his senior managers. That's another thing that I'm still asking and appealing, that one of the resolutions, recommendations we had at MPEC is to say we need to do what we call a roadshow to all the departments of the institution so that all of them, they can understand what it means, a declaration. Thank you for that. Then the lot of water losses and electrical losses. And we need to consider to improve our system, as we know that all the time systems of recent technology are always coming in. We need to tap on those, the technology, upskilling and everything, so that we can know that we don't lose. And by the time we had the IDP meeting, we said it's almost 17 million when we translate the losses of water into monetary value. So we're losing 17 million in a year, of which that's a lot of money. So we come to say there was also a concern of COMF11. COMF11, when I was explaining last time, it was saying it's when we do award with the shortage of the managers that needs to sit in that team. So I believe that those things will look very much off. Another thing that we are entrusted to do is to do oversight that the IDP has been done, the SDP has been put into the council and been passed. Last time, there was that the SDP was not approved. I do believe get things that we've done it very differently this time, SDP and IDP. So it needs to be signed by the council as it is required. So we do believe, at least politically, there is a stability that gives us no excuse of not looking forward in doing these things. The achievements that we had is those meetings, as I'm stating, as Speaker, and also to say that we did make our year plan, as you can see. And also we did interrogate the Auditor General things, and we made our deliberation and also look our annual report, and we did bring it to the council to adopt it. We also, the beautiful thing, there was a lack of a disciplinary report in this municipality the past 6 years. So being us as MPEC to ensure that the administration does that, it's one of the things that I would say it was the best thing that we can do to ensure that we've got our disciplinary board, that there was a sitting of it on the first week of November. As we say, the committee managed to conduct 10 meetings, and the committee was also represented at APEC. APEC is auditor performance audited committee. So where everything was placed there, if something happens that it clicks from our fingers, we didn't see it, but on the other side, we can catch it from APEC, where it talks about the service delivery, how it's being done. So we're also represented. The challenges remains to be there. One of them is consistency. When we call people here in this room, some of the other people that knows that we're dealing with this case, whilst the others we don't deal with, they always interpret it as a witch hunt, Speaker. And that makes that other people feel that are victims of witch hunt. It's because the consistency is not there. The same people that they know that there was a transgression on the other side and they are taken into task now, they remain saying, why this one? Why that one was not taken on? So we need to have a consistency when it comes to that of our consequence management. We also appeal, as we can see from the things of the meetings, that we had a case in legislation at section 79 of MFSA says that we need to serve in the committee, but there should not be a MACO member, whether local. It was silent about district to appoint the whole year were sitting with that silence. But as we can see ourselves here in this meeting, the register, it shows that one of our members that was with us and busy being as a person was a maker in the district, it clearly showed that it was affecting to a point that the last meeting, a presentation that was done by Salga, it was saying up to a point, even people that are serving to the district, they supposed not to serve on the impact because they are busy with the commitments of the other things. And that it came to the attest to us that when people are serving to a district in the Makorak committees, still their schedule becomes so busy to a point we can't get them. We had that case. It was even worse when Councillor Botha had to resign. Then a quorum was not there. Because every time we tried to check and rush for things, but it could not. But fortunately, Councillor Ramsey was substituted. So what I'm trying to say that we need also to be mindful when we elect in this council that we need to stick how the guidance of the legislation is saying to us. And what I want to say lastly, the tools of trade remains to be a crucial thing. We need to consider what are the tools of trade that are needed in order MPEC can function very well. In conclusion, Speaker, I want to thank this council in a very special way of saying that whatever decision was taken in the previous years for this council to have a special unit of an MPEC, I would say that that decision made it possible for us to stand here and boast that we could have 10 meetings. If you go to Salga, if you go to other municipalities, if you read the media news that we're getting from the Salga, other towns, they struggle to understand what MPEC is all about. They struggle to know what they're supposed to do. Some, they don't even sit. As a rep, I become a privileged councillor when I sit with the other councillors with the information I had. It is not solely relying to the workshops I was attending with Salga. It was solely relying to the in-house workshop that we were getting as new councillors from the administrative side of this council. So what I want to say, this Bitou Municipality set a standard of saying that we need to have an administrative wing that can ensure that whatever that is happening to the future of the politics, but as long that we know the whole information and the consistency has not been jeopardized. So with that, I would say it is one of the things that as I'm going around, I find that we are so privileged in this council for having that. I want again to, in conclusion, to say thank you to the administration, to the managers, to all people that they were more cooperating when we ask you information and come here and we leave at night, Ms. Paulson. A very special thank you to your administration for fulfilling it so that to be able to MPEC to fulfill its mandate effectively, even if we don't see the results now, Mr. Mayor. As you know, there was a report that says MPEC is not doing good and whatever, even if we don't see the results now, but rest assured, maybe next year you'll get good results. You'll be able to stand in your constituency and say MPEC did well. Yes. I applaud the Salga for its concept induction workshops for making us better people. I applaud my team of MPEC team, Councillor Ndai, in the absence even of Councillor ex-Councillor Botha. She was very much instrumental. And also I applaud the presence of Ms. Ramsey. The first meeting we had with her, she was a fire, you know. So I'm giving special thanks to the team that I was working with. And also, I'm also saying thank you to this council for giving us the platform and do it even more better and better and better. I thank you. I therefore say this recommendation, it's say let this council accept this report as the best report in the Western Cape. I thank you.
Councillor Kolwape. As councillors, I would also like to mention, you would note that I've given Councillor Kolwape more time through our Salga workshops. When it comes to MPEC, there should be no limit for the chairperson when it comes to her or his or her reports. So hence you see that she did go beyond the 5 minutes allowed per councillor because that is for the chairperson's report. It is advised to allow it. It's now the second time, and we will continue to allow the chairperson to express her views on the impact. So thank you for your support in that as well. Thank you. There was a proposal from Councillor Kolompi. I see the hand of Councillor Aramsa.
At second.
It's seconded by Councillor Aramsa. That the chairperson's report is done. Next item, item 3. Amen.
That's just on next item. So make a determination that we should exclude ourselves. What is the typicality on the upper limits of senior managers and councillors because you are the affected people also give advice. But that's we can make that determination. We don't mind the exclusion of self feelings.
I think let's excuse you. This item. All those affected, thank you.
Even like my mom pause, no. Even like my mom pause.
Aren't you going to be watching them on YouTube? Gonna watch it on the thing anyway. There's no point. I can watch it online. At the class.
Sorry. Felton, in your laptop below, possibly.
Andifuna ukungena ne-hat ndicina
Fine. Yeah. And you can leave. I'm just joking. Thanks. Councillors for that. We will do item 3. Item C, stroke 1, stroke 110, stroke 12, stroke 22. The determination of remuneration of senior management exemption from upper limits of remuneration determined by COPTA. The item is on page 49 to 80. The item is now serving. Councillor Mshana, Councillor Mangaba.
Yeah, thanks, Speaker. No, I just want a clarity. Fortunately, Felix is here. I read here that the national minister has not yet responded. What are the, for lack of a better word, what are the connotations or consequences that?
Lothar?
Thank you. That is for, personally for council to decide themselves. But the best we can do is follow up and the municipal manager has sent them several reminders on responding to the request that was sent. Unfortunately, in purely from an administrative justice side, I do not know that we are receiving justice in the fact that correspondents do not get responded to. So it leaves the council then to make a decision whether they are still going to wait for this for how long, I don't know, or take a decision on the way forward that is fair in respect of the remuneration of the managers. It is unfortunately so that I have also in my previous employers instances been subjected to a waiting period and the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, to the extent that I am still waiting for an application from O2 7 years ago. To the extent that I'm still waiting for the application from Banff 3 years ago. So I do not know how and when I'll propose to solicit an input from them if there are no response forthcoming on this.
Okay, Mr. Lothar, Councillor, see you follow up.
Yeah, I think, in fact, I want to understand as a follow-up question as to, as a separate sphere of government, can we take a decision on this and that decision will not have an effect? We're not going to see ourselves return on meeting, whatever, that this is what we have done. We have a right to take our own decision based on material conditions that we say, was, look, when I read here, managers who earn excessive salaries and municipal manager is just a little person who earns peanuts, it's, I don't know, it's unfair. It's unfair from my point of view, but on the legal perspective, I don't know.
Councillor Lothar?
I don't know whether I have all the legal answers on that. As our legal manager, I think there's a lot of questions still to be answered with regards to the legality of the determination by the Minister of Custom. I think some recent case law with regards to the unconstitutionality of the Preferential Procurement Policy Framework Act was promulgated by national government applicable to local government, found to be unconstitutional because the minister then overstepped her boundaries with regard to that determination. One can perhaps argue that the same would be applicable to the determination of the upper limits of salary. Being a different sphere of government, council appoints, the council approves the budget, council decides on everything else. Now the minister wants to come and tell you how much to pay these officials. Yet, when one considers the minister's responsibility in determining the upper limit, there are various issues with regards to that decision that is in doubt. A decision prescribes whom should be consulted and who not, and what factors should be taken into account. From all those determinations, we cannot see any evidence that all the factors were taken into account. We have argued this ad nauseum since the year 2014, and the upper limit since that day has been in a total disarray. There were, for instance, certain allowances, like a 20% scarce skills allowance, 10% remote allowance, which changed to some other allowance. Over time, this thing has been so confusing that many municipalities have appointed certain staff members, the one in the 1 month, the other one in the other month, yet they have on the same level different salaries. When we talk about the principle of fair remuneration and what all employees are entitled to in terms of the Constitution, fair labour practice, then we are doubtful whether we are giving senior management that constitutional right of a fair labour practice. Because it is the only sector probably in the country where junior staff members are earning a lot more than senior staff members. And it is not because junior or lower level managers are excessively remunerated. That is the effect of the descaling remuneration framework or remuneration regime, if you can call it that. It has the effect that people can grow in their salaries, and there is the element of annual salary negotiations, collective bargaining, of which in the agreement between labour and the employer, collective agreement, senior management is explicitly excluded from that negotiation, which means that the senior management salaries are determined annually by the minister. That determination is always a year late, as with public office bearers, whereas collective bargaining gives other employees a better increase, which means that this gap keeps on widening between lower level managers and senior managers. As you can see in those graphs, that gap will ultimately result in lower level managers earning nearly double senior management salaries in a 10-year horizon. It's really an unacceptable labour practice. It's not fair for the one that carries the responsibilities ultimately for a department is remunerated less than a manager 2 levels down. So it's about the principle of a fair labour practice versus what we have in writing. So it is the substance over form. The form is the law, the regulation, But the substance, on the other hand, is the principle of fairness in a remuneration regime, getting back to what the Constitution titles every single employee, the Constitution and the conditions of employment gives you that right to a fair labor practice, to negotiate your salary, to collective bargaining, and that collective bargaining portion of that has been taken away from senior management. When the consultation happens on this notice, and even quoted in these notices, the minister consults everyone but senior managers. So those that are impacted on are never consulted. That adds to the woes of senior management to only year on year just adopt what was given. To the extent that over the last 5 years, combined over 5 years, senior management has received less than a 10% salary increase for 5 years in terms of these upper limits, which makes it really an untenable situation. That is why it is brought to council to make a decision from a point of view of fair labor. What is fair in the absence of concurrence and the absence of reaction from COPTA with regards to this matter. As attached to this item, you can also see that the Minister of Local Government in the province has also supported the decision of council with regards to the packages payable to senior managers. I must add that if you look at the schedule of other management positions and their salaries compared to what council has decided for senior management, it still does not adequately resolve the issue. So this is a measure or an interim attempt to close the gap. Fact of the matter is that even if the decision is taken as is presented, senior management would still be earning less than the lower level of management. Thank you. I hope I have given.
Is that satisfying, Councillor Mtlana?
No, I'm satisfied.
Thank you. Councillor Mangaba?
Thank you, Speaker. Most of my questions are actually covered. However, I would like to actually remind us of the day this was brought to council, because the MM before the correspondence was actually sent to the MEC, he actually brought it to council, and I recall vividly how we were totally against it, not because we wanted to actually not because it was a punitive measure, so to speak, but that very same day we spoke of voluntary recovery plan, because we know we are actually sitting at a point where if there aren't any plans in place, we might not be able to actually cover salaries for the next 2 months. We may paint it in all sorts of colors in terms of explanation, but in essence, that correspondence was to actually ask for a raise. Question now I'm actually throwing at everyone is, can we afford it? Now, I need us to actually to bring ourselves into just an understanding of the reason why there's these imbalances is how the remuneration, so from the onset, the rubric was not done right. That there's people who get scarce skills allowance, whereas if you look at what the qualification they are holding, the position they're sitting in, it's not gazetted as actually Now, if we want to rectify that, we need to be honest about those faults that were actually done in the past, and not try to bloat the top level because now we are trying to make up for that. I still maintain that money can be easily used for service delivery. And I reiterate again, I'm not saying this because I'm sitting on an opposition bench. I'm not saying this because I'm against a certain person. If a mistake was done, we need to actually come to acceptance that, yes, it was done. How can we best rectify it? Now, rectification would mean we need to go back and actually make these amends. For me, it does not really, there's nothing about your work that requires you to actually get a scarce skills allowance if you are not done over and above what's expected of you. And it might sound belittling as I'm saying it, but in all honesty, if I'm, let's say, a manager at engineering, if I have not really devised a plan to actually counter the outages that we are actually facing each and every day of load shedding, how do we then explain my being deserving of such an allowance? These careers are gazetted. We can also go read and see what constitutes scarce skill and what's not. At the moment, we are trying to actually beef up the top level because the mistake was done just below. I don't think that correspondence and the raise that we're speaking of is actually the solution. Thank you.
Councillor, it's first Councillor Olivier, then the mayor, then you, Councillor.
I want to go with the recommendations.
There's a proposal by Councillor Olivier. Sorry?
May I just respond to Councillor Mclaren here?
Okay, let's hold on. Let's just, sorry, Mr. Lotta.
No, not now.
Put it in context.
No, it's not a. Executive Mayor, then Councillor Sabai.
Thank you, Speaker. I think just to add some clarity to what the councillor is saying, it's not that we increasing our salaries unreasonably. If we want to attract the right people with the necessary skills in the municipality, they are already getting higher pay in other municipalities. So there are managers in other municipalities that are earning more than the upper limits of directors. So when we put an advert out looking for people, that's the sort of income that they're expecting, and we need to either match it or give a bit more. If we don't do that, we don't get the necessary skills. So that's where this imbalance is coming about. And it's because, as Mr. Lotta mentioned earlier, the upper limits have not been properly adjusted and properly looked at. And that's over a period of time. And that's why in meetings that we have had with the Minister of Local Government in the Western Cape and also in the Premier's presence, it's been said that the upper limits needs to be looked at and need to be reviewed. Not only the upper limits for senior management and for managers, but also for councillors, because that's also comes through a year late. It's also at a low level. And if you look at the amount of time that councillors are now starting to spend on municipal matters and looking after the communities, councillors are spending more and more time, and we need to question whether they're being rewarded correctly for their time. So that is the reason behind the going above the upper limits. It's just we cannot attract people at those levels because no one wants to come and work and take responsibility for a department when your manager reporting to you is earning more than what you are earning. So with that, I would like to second that.
Item 4. Hello.
We still don't have a CFO because he gets paid more.
Speaker. First of all, I want to. Firstly, I want to ask the acting CFO, what is our liquidity ratio as a municipality?
Liquid deterioration of the municipality.
Sorry,
What is our liquidity ratio as a municipality? Yes.
around 1:1 currently. But assets, current liabilities 1:1.
Does it qualify us to pay this senior management, managers, section 56?
I think, in the report, we have indicated the financial implication. We've also indicated that in actual fact, with consideration of the council resolution setting those salary limits, there is an amount of 1 million rand all budgeted for the salaries than what will in actual fact be. There is sufficient budget for that. So that is from a budgetary point of view. Regards to the liquidity, I don't think the additional and few rands that will derail the municipality further in its financial.
I want you to be audible, acting CFO, because your response, whatever happens tomorrow, you must be audible in responding.
Think of.
The councillor Tsabai is still on the floor, councillors. He's asked a question.
No, I was not referring to him. I'm saying he must be audible.
Councillors, I am just allowing some few, the item is closed. I'm just allowing. What happened now was that Mr. Lotter just did not speak loud. Councillor Tsabai asked him just to be more audible in what he's mentioning.
Wrong with that.
That's all. But I see where this is going. The item is closed. I allowed a few arguments on this. Item is closed. You did not raise a point of order while the mayor was asking, councillor. You just raised your hands.
It was not a point of order.
That's what I'm saying. You did not raise it. So councillors, Councillor Tsabai, are you satisfied with what was mentioned to you? Otherwise, I will close.
Still continuing.
Move. I allowed it, but the way we are handling it now, I will then move.
Thank you.
Now listen,
Thank you.
Speaker, let me correct. I raised my hand.
It's my hand.
You pointed Councillor Olivier, the mayor and myself.
And what's first?
Now, you can't say the matter is closed
It's because of the.
because I didn't object
Speaker light, tone down, please.
what was seconded by the mayor. I raised my hand. So that means the matter is still debatable. You see? It's not, no, listen.
No, councillor. I'm listening.
Yeah, you must listen. Now, for that matter, you have taken a decision, but the other part that I was going to ask speakers, because I've been answered by the acting CFO that we do have money now. The money that we did not have. Now we have money now. I wanted him to explain what is our liquidity ratio because Minister Bredel is throwing us under the bus because also his response is saying, I approve it, but go through national quota. You see, he's not saying council, go on, approve it. He's approving in a manner that he wants to throw us under the bus. Secondly, why are we not waiting for quota nationally to respond first? So that we can be safe on our side. You see? Because Minister Bredel is saying, go to national quota first. And he cited so many things here. I don't know whether you have read. He's talking about competency. He's talking about qualifications. He's talking about experience of all these people that we want to waiver their salaries. Because those are the nitty-gritties that are going to be looked at when approving this. Now, I'm saying, why are we not waiting for COPTA nationally to respond? Because also, Minister Bredel was asking about what is the liquidity ratio of the municipality before taking such decision. Again, are these people competent? Are these people qualified? Are these people experienced in their positions? Because when you are wavering, you look at, there is a criteria here that has been explained. It's minimum, it's midpoint, it's maximum. So you don't just do, you must go with this because also again, these are regulations, these salaries were regulated. Then therefore we must think before we act. you see. Now, if we are not going then to wait for Copta National, I don't know. Thank you very much.
You, Councillor,
Councillor.
Councillor Kamkam?
Thank you, Speaker. I think Councillor Mangaba had his hand up before. It was the mayor, Councillor Mangaba, and then myself. That's why I don't like what's happening here. We all need to get a fair chance. Councillor Mangaba's turn.
Thank you, Speaker. We just need to be, we need to be honest with ourselves. Mr. Mayor here mentioned, something about, us unable to attract, directors. I was gonna understand if we were sitting with a situation where we don't have directors. We are sitting with new directors, newly appointed directors who signed up knowing exactly what they're signing themselves up to. Now, Chiki, we are acting as though the reason why we actually want to action this is because we are unable to actually attract. How is it that we are unable to attract directors when we have directors that are newly appointed? I'm not saying this should not be done, but why now? Because I'm avoiding a point that later on, then we'll be sitting with the situation where we are actually being hammered because a decision we made has now been overridden by a higher sphere. And I maintain this. We sat here and we said we will come together and we'll actually devise plans of ensuring that we recover. 2 months ago, we were speaking about recovery plan. Now we are ready to actually give these directors a raise.
Your final? Councillor Kamkam?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I can understand why it's a difficult item. It was quite correct. We are in financial stress. We also know that we sit with a municipality that needs a lot of work to get ourselves back on track and that we can actually focus on service delivery. And for that, we do need skilled staff, skilled directors. And Councillor Manaba is quite correct. We do have newly appointed directors. However, even so, we had to apply for the waiver to actually also attract those people. If I can just make an example, currently, we sit with a situation where the newly appointed CFO, we are struggling to get that person here because the salary he earns, where he's now in the Eastern Cape, is way above what he can get here. He is actually going to have to take a salary cut. The reason why he asked us now recently for us to then give him time till January, so at least he can get his performance bonus. So this is the type of situation that we sit in. Even the newly appointed Director Community Services, it was the same type of situation where also the waiver then we had to apply. So I understand we sit with a difficult situation. As I'm making this example now of the CFO, this is the situation we sit with. And Councillor Tabai mentioned about the skills, about making sure that the directors are capable of doing their job. That is why we as council, we need to make sure that we apply our KPIs, our performance management, and that we do not give directors bonuses and extra benefits that they are not entitled to. It is in our hands. I totally understand, and we all are very uncomfortable about this whole thing about people getting scarce skills allowances and extra benefits that they don't deserve. And really, we need to address those issues. It is noted. And Speaker, I would also say that we really need to get to a point where we address where things went wrong and how we can rectify them. However, we do sit with the situation now. And I'm not sure if we do not, I understand we still need from the Minister of Copta, a council, we do appoint Section 56. So it is in front of us now, and the item has been proposed. The item has been seconded. Unless, Speaker, we go over to a vote, I'm not sure. But we are going to debate, but the item has carried. Thank you.
Councillor,
Yes, you see what I'm trying to, I'm still stuck with sticking with the fact that it's closed.
I'm just allowing us a fair chance so that we can express ourselves on this. I'm allowing it until the point where I'm going to make a decision that this item, that the debate has dragging on too long. I will make a decision based on, I'm still standing with the fact that the item is closed, but I'm just allowing us as councillors. I will still make a decision to say we're going to stop this debate and move forward now. But I'm just allowing everybody to express their views. That's it. Thank you. Councillor Dendamaya.
Yeah, Speaker, if you read here correctly, even a manager who does not receive a scarce skills allowance earns more than a municipal manager. I'll make an example about a municipal manager. Even the CFO must get 1 to 1.1, whereas managers are getting 1.4. That's a manager who does not get any scarce skills allowance. And I think we, as council, we really need to reconsider this, and it's a really unfair. And we understand. I was once a municipal official. I know there is an attitude, even if you can be my senior, if I earn more than you, just something. You see, so there are those attitudes as well. If you look at that, and really, from my point of view, is that really it is unfair, not only to this thing of upper limits, as the mayor said, it's not only unfair to city managers, it's also unfair to us as councillors, because we earn equal to nothing as compared to the work that we are doing. And so really, at some point, we need to be rational about issues. And I don't think it's really a matter of attracting people, but it's a matter of saying to people, you are here now, you need to perform these duties, and we appreciate that by giving you what we think you deserve. So I think from our point of view, also as councillors, we need to be rational about this issue of I understand the issue of COGTA not responding, but we remain a sphere of government on our own. So we can't wait, and these 5 years ends, still waiting for national minister. Hence, I was asking those questions that tomorrow we don't want to see ourselves on media. So we need to get a proper advice so that when we apply our mind and take a decision, we take a decision that will tomorrow not affect the institution and the communities that one.
Thank you. Mayor, then Councillor Aramsa, and that will be the last 2 councillors, and then we will move.
Thank you, Speaker. Just with regards to the current appointments of directors, they were appointed based on the amounts that is paid by the government. So the offers made to them were offers that were above. And if prior to the appointment, we needed to get overdone to be able to appoint them. So that's why, that's just by explanation in terms of what you're concerned with. Directors and position. They were appointed on condition that they get salaries.
Thank you. Councillor Aramsa, then we will move. You covered. Thank you, councillors, for your views on this matter. The item has been proposed and seconded for that. We will now move to the next item. Can we get the officials back, please? The next item, it's item C. Stroke 1, stroke 111, stroke 12, stroke 22. Delay in the submission of the audit report. Before I'm going to serve this item, please wait for the officials to come in. Get a breather for you are being called. Right. We're starting now. We're going to start now. Let's take a glass of water for you. Councillors? So with that said, we are now on the 4th item. Item is now serving. Just hold on. Deputy Mayor? You fine? Can we continue? Okay. Continue. We are on the delay in the submission of the audit report. I just want to share some light. I'm just double checking. Okay, let's continue.
Chair, the legislation requires the Auditor General to inform the Speaker if they were not able to sign off the final audit by 30th November. They are required to sign off the audit 3 months after the financial statements were submitted. So for September, October, so we were unable because there were still issues that we referred with them technically. The final report has been received this morning. The mayor has alluded to change from the draft report from qualified to qualified, so meaning we have to take opinion of the years just a mile away from being. So that's a requirement that they must inform us. It's just to note, but the audit has been finalized now at the final review stage now. So the final one stamp will receive it tomorrow morning. But I've got it in my laptop here now, the final one. There's just one person in Victoria who must just do the final checks and balances, but it's not going to change. It will remain unqualified with findings. Some of the findings, the person of effect already mentioned and alluded to the report. I must just mention one thing for council to be aware of, but the full item will come to council in January. The budget of 2021-22 has been audited, and the Auditor General found that budget was not approved. So we provided the minutes, the recordings to the Auditor General. We've also listened to the recordings. So that budget was not approved. So the whole budget of the municipality becomes unauthorized expenditure. But we will write and submit to council for council to authorize that unauthorized expenditure. I try to fight it, but it remains up until yesterday when we had a meeting.
It's breaking.
To be excused.
Yes, we have noticed that. Okay. Councillor, just make sure everything is all right there.
Maybe adjourn for.
Yeah, council, can we adjourn?
For not looking.
No, I won't give time now.
One of the ladies said that's fine.
Let's adjourn and then determine. We are adjourning now. It's now 10 minutes past 10. We will determine the situation and then come back again. Thank you very much. Don't give the reason. Don't give the reason. The school. Wanna finish.
Take it now, who's in it? Because someone can't take it. Think about I thought like it's application. Yeah. Like for me, that's even but something. Because that's the okay.
And this, and I need to just take out where it was from. And then also the AG report I had to write.
Something's it.
Sorry. No, it's when it'll work a lot better. I just need to make the changes that because I only got.
Okay. I'm very happy. I'm like, sorry about that, Chris.
It was like the
Okay.
Hello?
Not understood. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
So,
The only one that was shade.
I was fine, the shade, I would.
welcome, Secretary.
So no, shades, yeah.
They've been here for, long. He's been here for long.
This meeting.
I think.
It's fine.
It's been there for here.
The best thing to make email, Jake can email, Steven's email conference. Oh.
So I know this. So I was saying, I'm going to repeat the one. This.
Can you? I don't know if. That we can. Because for the season now we use. Oh, it's costing us a lot of. But we can see. Let us see.
That's in the phone. For the time and you. You guys good?
But we. I know. I drove it.
It's not the one that lies.
It's in the Galupin.
Why do
And I put it wrong. You're wrong. That's right.
Ngamfonela kapha uzabona isiphumo. Akakwazi ukubona imfonela ba masiphume cha akakwazi ukudabushu.
Hayi sokuncedile wayazi ikhoma phasi.
Where's my phone?
Mina ndiyazi ngoba
Ngiza apha sikobetha ukuthatha. Phela sendicela uchase noma maka. Lo muntu akaza.
You will see always.
Yenzeka lokhu imasno.
ngiyafila ngixhaqeka supplement adana bandifakile
Yenza.
Sure.
Hayi lokuthi
Yafike apha kwa eli ahamba.
ngakukho into ethi manje koko vele
Oh.
sithi kukhokho vele ngoba ekukho into ethi kuba ndikhosene koko vele
My questions have been answered. Don't worry. This was with my item.
yeah please
I was just raising my concerns.
akafikile xa benzeka ndinga khaya
Mr. Mayor.
benzeka ntoni
So there is this thing, man. You guys should have told us it's a white day.
You don't answer my
You should have told us it's a white day.
This thing.
told us
You should have told us that,
guys
you should have told us and me.
I should know.
That's why I didn't get the WhatsApp.
The change.
I can see the medical members.
I know that I know.
Yes. They also.
You belong to the garden. Sorry to break the news.
We're not even supposed to. I'm supposed to be in the garden room.
Playing.
I've got my green
But that other
outfit. That I could,
When is it?
today,
You were supposed to be there.
yes, the green outfit, not white. I supposed to wear green.
They are also having their last meeting today.
It's not the last meeting, the strategy and then the celebration for the last. Green, green, green.
That some boat was allowed.
No one reported right in favor. No one reported right.
My lord does say no to public. 6 months.
Jonga, akufanelanga mgeze lapha because chairperson wami siyambona bangaba. Jonga, siyambona into bangaba.
Councillor Mangaba just for his daily dose coffee. Thank you, Tanya. We are still on the delay in the submission of the audit report. The item is still serving. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Speaker. I propose we go to the recommendations.
Councillor Aramsa?
Based on the mayor explaining it earlier and even I second.
Seconded by Councillor Aramsa. Next item,
I can't even start. Second, fix that advance question.
item C, stroke 1, stroke 112, stroke 12, stroke 22. Extension of acting appointment of Director Financial Services for the period 1st December 2022 until 31st December 2022. Item is on page 87 to page 91. Item now serving. Amen.
I just want the council to take note. I received an email from the email stated that he asking to start in January. The main reason in the municipality interesting this issue of upper limit that they are even getting 13 check. So if he resigns now, he has not completed the 12 months, he will lose his 13 check payment. So I phoned him because I thought 13 checks is not received by the directors, but it tells you how this is treated in each province. So I spoke to the executive mayor, then we considered, but I'm starting to worry, Chairperson, and I will leave the processes because I bumped into the deputy mayor of that municipality while I went to check the situation of the sharks on Wednesday, So, and then she related, in fact, she was surprised that Chris is coming this year. She didn't know anything about that. And she stated that, they've been receiving disclaimers for the last 5 years and they are out of the disclaimer now. So they would not. So I'm surprised. I just want to monitor the situation so that we don't get to a situation where we see it as the two municipalities negotiating. So we've allowed up until January. If the coming CFO does not come in January, I am confident in terms of the acting CFO. So I'll just bring an item to council in terms of how we should.
Thanks, Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. I'll propose that we go for recommendations.
Councillor Nyal,
I second, Speaker.
proposed by Councillor Kamkam, seconded by Councillor Nyal. Next item, item C, stroke 1, stroke 113, stroke 12, stroke 22. Re-advertising of vacancy of Director Corporate Service and approval of recruitment and selection timeframes, page 92 to 1999. The item is now serving. Councillor Olafir, Councillor Kamkam, and Councillor Kolwapi.
I go with recommendation.
Let's go to Councillor Kolwapi and then Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. When I was reading that item, I was just a little bit with the fact that the recommendation, one of the things that made the team not being able to recruit, it's because of the manner of the first preference. It should be because of the basis of equity, that the first preference should be a colored female, the second preference should be an African female, so it goes. And I was like, since we are looking here at ourselves, we already have a female colored in one of the positions, and we don't have a black female in other positions. So are we supposed to be forced to go with that stipulated kind of first preference? Who could it be? Second preference? Who could it be? It was just a question that it alarmed me when I looked at it, because as far as I understand that we've already satisfied the equity when it comes to female colored into senior manager.
So should it not be a second? The first preference should not be a black, female? If you call.
Yes, Chairperson, Chairperson, it could be a colored female or African female. I think the third one, Indian female. If we can find in any of those categories, we can appoint a colored male, we can appoint African male, we can appoint anyone of that process, you know. From the applicants that applied, I'm sure at the beginning of the item, it says something like that there, and I've got and then it says when they collect the information of different, was wanted councillors to see, you know, from the long list who actually applied and the people that were considered meeting the requirements and why the others were not meeting the requirements. You know. So that is the information that we looked at and then we felt that we should recommend to council to broaden the scope for the last time and see if then the issue of the employment equity is based on the employment target of the municipality. You know, so we cannot change preference to be an African male, so it's a colored female, an African female, but we can appoint any of those preference if we were the candidate. But also, I must state this issue because sometimes it creates confusion. The candidates must meet the requirements. Not a preference because of our employment equity, then we'll appoint somebody who does not meet the requirements. The person must meet the requirements. So that's a list of all the people that they applied. We felt strongly that we must broaden the base. So you will see from number one, person was also a municipal manager qualifies. Number two, the person lacks senior management experience. And this experience was mainly at community services, not at corporate services. Corporate services got four components. Remember, legal services, HR, communication, and administration. So number two did not have any experience in those areas except traffic and other areas. Same as with number three. Number four. The certificate was not attached, but also the person was not working in the municipal environment, is working in the private sector. Number five, application was not completed correctly as required by the regulation, and also it's got limited experience of a deputy assistant director, so not in the position of a director position or senior management experience. Number six, no local government experience, does not work. Local government, forensic pathology and health, he was related to community. But eight, also no local government experience.
Thanks.
Reception is a credit controller office admin. No suitable. And number nine meet the requirements because of previous years of experience. All local government experience, mainly in the Department of Health, and the application form was not completed correctly. Same as number 11, not completed correctly, and no relevant management experience. Person is just at the level of medical advisor. Number 12 is the same, is a councillor in Naisna. Person has no local government, it's got local government experience, but as a councillor, not as an administrator. So, and then number 13, the person met the requirements. And then number 14, the person met all the requirements but failed to complete the form correctly. Okay, and the regulations are very strict. If that form is not, it might disqualify you. It's stated in the form in front of you when you complete the form. And number 15, also knows relevant senior management experience. Small in office. So you could have had 4 people, but then number 14 did not complete the form appropriately. So that's the information then we decided that we should rather extend the scope, the net and see if we're gonna get, candidates, to apply. If not, then council will have to make consideration.
I still have someone there. 0.3. So Councillor Kolop, I think you were answered.
I'm sad.
Item is still serving. Councillor Kamkam, then the Executive Mayor.
Speaker, I think point 3B, portfolio councillor. We go with the recommendations.
Proposed by Councillor Kamkam for the portfolio councillor. Be added, if I'm correct.
Yes, and I'm just pointing it out, there's no name there. And then I would propose that we go with the recommendations.
By Councillor Kamkam.
I'll second the speaker.
Proposed by Councillor Kamkam, seconded by Councillor Nyal.
So, Councillor Kananda, not proposed.
Sorry, make sure that we have Councillor Olivier and then Councillor Kamkam.
Then the councillor is Councillor Kamkam.
Yes, make sure we have it as such. Thank you. Next item. Item C, stroke 1, stroke 114, stroke 12, stroke 22. Now we've done that one now.
Not done.
Oh, we on it now. Very sorry.
I'm not done.
Yes, we're going there now. Extension of acting appointment director corporate service 1st January 2023 until 31st March 23, page 100 to page 102. Item is now serving. Councillor Kamkam.
Propose that we go with the recommendations.
Proposed by Councillor Kamkam. Councillor Nyal.
I'll second that, speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Nyal. Next item. Item C, stroke 1, stroke 115, stroke 12, stroke 22. Approval of amended microstructures engineering service, Directorate Traffic Management Service and Fire and Rescue Service. The item is now serving. Councillor Kamkam, Councillor Olivier.
This is very correction, because the placement committee comes with, when they were doing placement, they realized errors of the engineering. And then I think there was one traffic fire, but in the main, it was an engineering services where people who passed away and who have resigned, their position was suddenly taken out totally. So it's to make those corrections so that we can proceed, because that's a really department with outstanding placement to correct me, so that they can proceed and placement and finalize that one. That's just a correction of those positions.
Councillor Kamkam, Councillor Olivier.
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, Speaker, MM is quite correct. Councillor Mangara and myself, we were sitting in the placement committee. It was quite an enlightening experience. I won't say too much about it, but we have actually picked up a number of errors when it comes to the old microstructure and that spreadsheet that we had, and also even the new microstructure. There were a couple of errors. What is very concerning is the fact that there seems to be an internal corporate culture where staff members are being moved around without official secondments or acting or letters or movements. They just been placed somewhere. That came up a lot in the placements committee, where there was confusion, where people thought because someone was placed somewhere, it means that person now on the org structure need to be listed there. No, the org structure still remains whatever your placement letter says. That's where you remain. So we should, and then just to bring it to your attention that it is quite concerning, the unfair labor practices that is happening in this municipality, where I personally also feel that some of the staff members, especially, on the lower levels, they do get a bit disadvantaged by that culture. And we should please take note of that and try and rectify it. But with that, Speaker, I would propose that you accept the recommendations.
Okay, Rosina. Councillor Manlaba?
Thank you, Speaker. Mine is actually coming to you through you, Speaker, that there needs to be a sense of enforcement in terms of what's required or what's expected of officials at the bottom. Because that's where the issue is. The reason why we sit with grievances and cases every now and then is that they create these expectations because they shake people's hands and they promise employment. And then that person goes through a year or two exercising a role that is not theirs. So it's only natural for them to actually get to a level where they're expecting of that. So we need to ensure that those controls are in place, or else we'll be sitting with the situation. And then again, this one is actually to the council now. I so wish that when we go on a break and we have fun with our families, we sort of recalibrate how we want to go on as this council. And this is not to belittle anyone, but it's just for us to actually change gears and start to move in one wave. We were sitting with a lot of discrepancies with regards to the organogram, because it's a norm at council that when we sit here, instead of delving in issues and debating about them, it's a voting spree. It's a sprint. Whoever is quick to propose and second, we go on, without having to actually read the intricacies of what we're actually signing up to. The reason why we are sitting now with a situation where there needs to be amendments is that there was no proper reading of the notes, because the moment the item was opened, we voted and we went with it. And again, I'm bringing this to you because I know that communications as well is supposed to have submitted an amendment, because according to the structure, the communication in the customer care and the CCC is actually disjointed, whereas there's a standing item which was tabled in 2018 that there needs to be a centralized approach in terms of our customer care experience. Now, if that be the case, or that be a decision that was actually brought by a well-thought team, I don't get how, when it comes to a new organogram, that was not considered. Because now we're sitting with a situation where we are told we are grasping in straws, because according to the structure that is actually adopted by council, none of that seems to be reflecting. We need to, after that week of threats, I really felt that we, as an institution, will be actually moving in synergy, in unison. However, when such discrepancies are still materializing, it does leaves a distasteful taste in the mouth. So going into the holiday, let's just get into that groove that when we come back and when we sit together, it doesn't matter what political affiliation we sit on, it doesn't matter what history and differences we used to have, for the betterment of this community as well as this institution. Let's just move in one way.
Councillor Olivier, I will allow you, and I've noted you.
Not just, Councillor, it's not the issue of call center, we've said two departments. Senior management level will make a decision, full and full, about I want these people under my department, I want these people under my department. So they have not been able to sit. Mr. Nampo, there was an email that you sent in terms of trying to coordinate a meeting. We'll give them space to coordinate that meeting and report back, because that council resolution requires also that they submit a report in council in terms of that. So we'll try and implement that council resolution, failing which the discussion of senior management in terms of how we think the solution should be resolved based on that standing council resolution, was that standing cannot be changed.
Thanks, ma'am. Councillor Olivier?
Speaker, there's one thing that I appreciate about this kind of situations. One thing that we must understand, that the organogram is not stuck in cement. And we will from time to time have to relook at departments as our environment changes and our need changes. We will never get it right as a one size. We are going to always approve our organogram voice management. So yes, thank you for that, Councillor. We do apply our minds and we think about it. These situations that come up that we have to relook at and think about what we need. A year back, 2 years back, we had COVID. Now we have something else. We have the environment that's changing. We have climate changes. And we're going to now need to look at electricity and all of that. So these are things that always play into our decisions. As I say, I appreciate the fact that it's not stuck in cement. It comes back to council and we can engage again and discuss again and look at it. And with that, I go with the recommendation. Just so.
Thank you, Councillor Olivier.
Just so. It's like I'm not thinking.
Next item. Tanya, did you get that one? Next item. Item C, stroke 1/116, stroke 12/22, the progress report and establishment of Bitou Junior Town Council. The item is now serving. Councillors, you would note in the report that we have done some interviews at the various schools. So we have done the interview process and I was personally involved. And what I've seen through the interview process, I must say our youngsters is very excited. You could hear what they were bringing and how they are answering these questions that was posed to them. They are it's coming from all races around Bitou. And yes, I'm quite happy with what was happening during the interviews. So hence we have this report before us now. It can only go from strength to strength, but although they are sometimes confused, they just want to be the mayor. It's only one thing, they want to be the mayor and they want to be the mayor. Yes. So thank you, councillors, for that. The item is still serving. Councillor Olivier, Councillor Nyao.
Recommendation, thank you.
I will second, Speaker.
Seconded by Councillor Nyao. Last item under the Municipal Manager's Office is item C, stroke 1/117, stroke 12/22. The report from the Audit and Performance Audit Committee. As an addendum, you would find the item now serving. Councillor Kamkam.
Speaker, propose that we go with the recommendations.
Proposed by Councillor Kamkam. Councillor Kolwapi.
I second the recommendation.
Seconded by Councillor Kolwapi. Extend with section 1. We move now to section 2. Finance. First item, it is item C, stroke 2, stroke 84, stroke 12, stroke 22. The rollover adjustment budget for 2022-2023. The item is now serving. Councillor Kamkam.
Thank you, Speaker. Yeah, this is just to deal with the grant funding that we, obviously there has been rolled over to the new financial year that we've applied for. I think previously we did have a notice in council to say that they will apply for the rollover, the funds. It's not dealing with the normal adjustment that we will probably deal with in January. That, Speaker, it's just that we all know that in terms of our capital expenditure, we will see, we had item at the portfolio, it's not serving here now, the section 71, where we actually saw that the expenditure was still not that great. And I'm just hoping that in terms of the supply chain processes, that we will stay on track with that so that we don't lose some of our grant money, and more importantly, so that we can comply with the legislation and with the regulations. With that, Speaker, I propose that we take note of the recommendations.
Proposed by Councillor Kamkam. Amen.
Chair, can we, let it correct that we approve, can't take note of budget.
Oh, we approve it.
The minutes, we just let this thing, from the audit, so we just have to approve.
Thanks, and be approved.
So approved from Councillor Kamkam as a proposal.
The recommendations by the executive mayor.
Councillor Nell,
I'll second the speaker.
seconded by Councillor Nell. Done with section 2, finance. Section 3, corporate services. The item is item C, stroke 3, stroke 80, stroke 12, stroke 22. The closure of municipal offices between Christmas and New Year 2022 to 2023. Would find the item on page 127 to 130. Item is now serving. Ma'am?
Thank you, Speaker. Sorry, Tanya is looking at me, reminding me. Speaker, when this item was prepared, we did not have the proclamation by the president. The proclamation by the president is given that
And this,
it's 27th, it's an official public holiday. So just make that correction, because there things employee must take their leave. We'll just make that correction. Item was.
Yes.
Not decided.
Thank you, ma'am. Councillor Kamkam?
Thank you, Speaker.
I can put.
I can take note now on him. Yeah, I'm sure we all, I personally am looking forward to the holidays. Yes, and I propose that we go with these recommendations.
Proposed by Councillor Kamkam,
I need my holiday.
seconded by Councillor Olafir.
Yeah, 40 people.
Be done with corporate service. We have no items for section 4, section 5.
Yeah.
Last 2 items under section 6. Economic development and planning. First item, it's item C, stroke 6, stroke 65, stroke 12, stroke 22. The airport status quo and way forward. Page 131 to 132. Item is now serving. I see your hand, Councillor Kolwapi.
Thank you, Speaker. In this item, I think what was disappointing is always saying in public participation, the things were coming back without people contributing anything to the public participation. And this is not the first time, because I think even in our portfolio committee, when it comes to the disposal of the houses, whilst on the Facebook, it was a whole drama and everything, but coming to the formally recorded things, people are not responding. It left me with a question of asking, where are we publicizing all these things where we expect people to comment? Do we go to the lower of the lowest level people? Not all people have data, having smartphones. They can be able to access our, what is it? Our website, yes. So do we do that culture of taking our things of the municipality to that free paper, what's new in pledge? Or what other forms of things besides going to the libraries and whatever? It was just my question that how could it be that whilst people, they will talk about the things in the, on the cloud, but still it doesn't translate back when it comes to public participation. It was just my question, and I was even bringing it over to the constituents of our people that why are you not following these things? Whilst we'll sit in the council and talking about this thing, expecting you that you must have your say, you will make this a noise, but ultimately nothing has ever come and say that we have done it. The same with the age statement, it's only ratepayers that are bringing anything, whereas we are forced to do a public participation roadshow and people are not responding. So it left me with the question of saying, are we penetrating this whole information to the right places to everybody? Assuming that we're all common people, for instance.
There's a question. Hier het net op Facebook doen of waar?
Thank you for the speaker. Good morning, councillors and all. Councillor Kolwapi, this came up in the section 80 committee as well.
Okay.
And I must actually say that it was quite useful to get that kind of criticism, which was very constructive. But I think with the new organogram, it actually assists us to have more hands on here. Because we have been granted CWs to work under us. We've already started the process of actually indulging in practice to announce things in the community. We'll also make use of the various papers that we have. So basically, we are giving attention to ensuring that we go beyond the platforms that we currently have. We have also engaged the radio 204 to actually start to broadcast some of the information that we have. So, Speaker, I think to an extent we are on board in terms of actually trying to address that gap that is there more stronger and more efficiently. Thank you.
Speaker?
I will be with you now, Councillor.
Speaker, just a matter of clarification. I just want to check with Mr. Namdu. Are we still publishing in the What's New?
Yes, from time to time.
But in this particular instance, could we?
No.
You say rezoning in What's New. It's very rare to see things like this of this case. I don't say that I'm using What's New every day, but what I'm very sure about in What's New, you'll see the rezoning things that people should comment, that I'm sure. But when it comes to this, as I'm saying, these two items that I take note, and you could see on the ground, people were talking about it, engaging about it on political levels and whatever. But it was so surprised that in public participation, feedback, you don't get it.
Thank you, Councillor. I will do first.
I was alerted in the discussion of section 18, start early in January with the process for this. But the mayor also spoke about the amnesty. We don't seem to receive quite a big number of people who are taking this opportunity. So we'll be sending the CDWs on houses they can live at later. They can explain to the people, in terms of that. So we'll try and do that, that process going forward.
Thanks, Amen. Councillor Manhaba.
Thank you. And over and above that, we need to ensure that public participation, especially for empowerment's sake, it falls part of our public meeting level. We actually teach our people and tell them exactly what is it that is expected of them when such is published. Because it's one thing having it published, because by virtue of people commenting about it on Facebook, this should mean they are aware. However, do we really empower them in terms of what to do next, what's expected of them? Because once that empowerment element is actually done, we know it doesn't matter where it lands. If it lands on posters, it lands on Facebook or What's New or whatever, they are able to actually do what's expected of them. To a level really where we empower people, because at the moment, I understand we come from a very despondent time where just people are just complaining on social media. But now our role at public meetings is to ensure that we also empower our people. It's an if on your end. My hall is always full.
I wasn't talking. I will allow us to, and then item is still serving.
In terms of the empowerment aspect, we've also started with the Department of Local Government to start the civic education. Actually, it's geared towards empowering start to get full aspects. So that's another platform that.
Thank you.
In this regard and these concerns that we're having, I was about to propose that how about we give it again a month or two to take it back to the public participation, especially now that the department that stands for communication, it acknowledges that there were things, especially section 80, they could pick up these things, feeling that maybe there's no rush instead of rushing to supply chain and do it whereas public, because it's a public entity, it should be educated with this, so we do it in openness and transparency. How about my proposal is to say, part of the recommendation is to say, maybe before we take it to supply chain management, can we take it back just for the public and also ensuring that the empowerment and also the department is doing it, and especially what Mayor says that we can go and deliver the thing to the community so that people, if they don't comment, at least we know that we've taken our part solely. No one can have any residual after these whole stages that we're taking. And it also protects us from, the attack of the community.
The recommendations is by the municipal manager, so I will just give the municipal manager time to respond.
Chair, perhaps Rudolph should first start by explaining that we've got a contract with them which is expiring in March next year. Secondly, the part that I want to fill in terms of legislative compliance, I can understand the sentiments is that we don't just do compliance for the sake of complying. But in terms of legislation, we have complied with the process correctly with advertised. People had an opportunity. Facebook is not an official platform for comments. I'm not sure, Mr. Namdi, if it was put on Facebook as well. So we can look at our Facebook page of the municipality because we do put, so we didn't receive comments on our Facebook page of the municipality. So people had an opportunity to also comment on our Facebook page or Twitter or even on Instagram now that, not Instagram, LinkedIn, that we are actually in now, but I'm saying I am taking note in terms of compliance, that we try and extend the issue of compliance going forward, but I don't know, it's up to council. I would caution that we start the process on the basis that people have actually not done that process. I think the advertisement had sufficient time people to make a comment. Maybe we could have empowered the people to really and what they must comment on. So we wanted comment for people who are objecting for that and to be used as an airport and then don't seem to have received that, So if we extend the supply chain on its own, will still also take 3 months. Then unless council will then forced to actually go and extend the current contract and we would not advance because as we have stated, it's costing the municipality a lot of money. Thanks.
Are you clear, Councillor Kolofe? I will then move.
I'm clear, especially when it comes to this cost implication that there's a contract that is about to lapse in 3 months' time, and of which those, it comes back to what Councillor Mangaba was saying, empowerment. This morning, I was just uttering that to my husband that, what is it that you guys are not commenting? And the only thing you make noise down here. And it came this thing very strong in my household this morning. So what I'm saying, it's all about the empowerment to even other people besides in my house, So even if we can say it's 2 weeks again, just to allow and say, if is there anything, I don't know, but it brings now even a limitation when it comes to say there's a contract that it needs to be fulfilled. And being an impact chairperson, we need exactly to monitor our contracts very well and stick to it, Thank you.
Just want to make sure number 8 is covered. Number 8 is covered. 8 is covered. Councillor Mangaba, after number 8.
Thank you, Speaker. Given the fact that obviously we are compliant as per what the accounting officer just alluded to, and given the fact that the contract is nearing an end, I think a learning that we can actually take out of this is that we shouldn't just be doing things for compliance sake, but there should be quality attached to it. I do not think for a second that we need to actually re-advertise or stall any further because we are pressed with time.
Okay.
But going forward, a learning that we would actually take from this is that, yes, for legislative purposes, compliance is key. Over and above that, there needs to be quality attached to the processes that we are actually following, which speaks then to empowerment and all of that. I'm saying this now so that by the time I'm married, my wife does not sit and complain. But
Thank you, Councillor. I still have not received any. Next item. Councillor Kamkam, is that your hand? Sorry.
Advice was that on the procurement side, don't stop it. And you can still re-advertise to all against. My worry was about stopping the SEM process in 2021, so it's council that decide.
Thank you for that.
Councillor Nel?
Speaker, I will propose that we go with the recommendation.
With an addition,
Taking the addition into consideration.
Thank you, Councillor Nel.
And I'll seek.
Seconded by Councillor Kamkam, if I'm correct?
Seconded it.
I proposed and then Billy seconded.
With an addition, Tando.
With an addition. Proposed by Councillor Mangaba, seconded by Councillor Nel with an additions. The last item under section 6, it is item C, stroke 6, stroke 66, stroke 12, stroke 22, the Plettenberg Bay Country Club status quo and way forward. Item now serving. Councillor Nel, Councillor Mhlana.
I propose at this stage, we do not have sufficient information from the vet. I propose that the item be referred back.
I support.
Proposed by Councillor Nel that the item be referred back. Seconded by Councillor Mhlana.
What is this? Can somebody take us through, guys, please? Oh, it's done.
Back.
Oh, it's the fed back. Thank you.
Okay, take your notes and bring.
Even from Councillor Mangaba.
Okay. Enough time to.
We done with the portfolio of index. We are now returning to the order of business. Point 11, we have none. Point 12, none. Point 13, none. I do know,
I speak.
I'm coming to point 14 for an explanation.
And you're saying point, and you're not reading it out so that we can actually forget about the fact that there's actually a motion.
No. We are in a special council meeting. You will still receive your information delivered to you. We are on it. We're just dealing with the special council.
But Speaker, I find this despicable.
No, I'm 2 months already. Can I continue? Thank you.
Not this arrogance is not going to take you anywhere.
I understand, sir. Given you my response. Point 13. We have received none. I must breathe on this one.
You haven't responded.
You have not responded.
It's been 2 months.
To that.
You know what happened in a case, what just happened now with Councillor Hereby, when he was mumbling underneath. Luckily, I've read that case not to respond on what he's saying. There was a case.
What are you talking about?
No, it's fine. I'm talking to MM. I'm not responding. I heard what he was saying. What he was saying. I know you want to draw from a councillor.
You need a 5 minutes focus. We can give it to you.
No, I'm matured on that responding, guys. Thank you very much, councillor.
Speaker, if you need 5 minutes focus with the MM, by all means.
I'm just saying to the MM, I am matured not to respond on what you are saying, but feel free. I have 5 comments as well. You have done it, so let's continue.
What are you talking about?
I will not say that same word. I know, you see, there's the reaction you want to draw from. No, you want to, I see that reaction. He wants to draw a reaction of me. I'm not going to respond on that, councillor. Let's go, continue, councillors.
I have never seen this.
Have water or coffee.
Continue with the
Whatever works to calm you down.
No,
It's December, for goodness sake.
Let's go to point 14.
I gave him a height.
Then we're going to resolve that matter there. We are on point 14.
After coffee, you got a height.
Say something. Councillors, with that,
It's going to be round.
we're going to go into in committee now.
Thank you.
I don't think we need a break, or do we need the 5 minutes?
No.
Yes. No.
Just for you to speak to the MM, you could get, take 5 minutes. Take your 5 minutes.
Sorry, councillors.
Administration, if there's a gentleman taking a break, please switch off the mics. And I've received quite a lot of people.
Not working. Oh, there's no need. There's no need. Around one as well.
Message the MM to say that they had all the conversation we're having when we adjourn. Please make sure you switch off mics when we adjourn.
It's fancy mics. When we used to press a button, no one would hear us.
Send me a note.
We will now. Tanya, do you need time?
Yes, first take the recording, sir, thank you.
Okay, 5 minutes and then come back.
Mr. Mayor, what is a bootlicker? What is a bootlicker?
Here's somebody who licks a boot.
Who licks a boot?
Somebody who licks a boot is a bootlicker.
What is a boot?